get them, put a team together, and let them look over everything BP is doing and independently advise me. Are they making the right decision or the wrong decision?
Yeah.
Maybe, just maybe. They wouldn't have been wrong by, what is it, like 60,000 barrels a day?
No kidding.
They were originally 1,000, then 5,000, then 20,000. Then the president was telling us we were collecting half of it, except we were only collecting 10,000 when there was 60,000.
Well, they claimed that BP was lying to them because every gallon that goes into the ocean, they have to pay a fine.
Well, okay.
So they're lying about it.
But maybe they should have had
I know.
independent source of information for this.
Right.
What executive in a crisis has only one source of information? An executive who's never been an executive.
Right. You just touched on it right there.
But don't you want, the one thing that I think the American public want to know from Tony Hayward today is, how are they going to stop the plug? How are they going to plug the hole?
The president, of course, never addressed that at all with his non-specific talk to the American people. You get the impression that we have the never let a crisis go to waste philosophy rather than the crisis management philosophy. Same thing on Christmas morning when he was gone on vacation for 10, 11 days. That whole speech the other night was, how can I take advantage of this opportunity to push cap and tax? There was very little about how am I going to fix the problem. He appointed he appointed a czar and a commission.
Great.
50 at czar, about our 10th commission, but no action.
Right. This the guy that he chose to meet with is chairman of the board, who doesn't know much about drilling. He made his name running Ericsson. He's Swedish, and he comes forward. And I know you're a nuts and bolts guy, get things done.
Right.
But when your spokesperson calls the American people and the victims of this oil slick small people, as if to say, I'm big and powerful, and even the small people without brains deserve some credit.
It was obviously a terrible mistake, a horrible thing to do. The only thing I'd give him a teeny bit of room on is he doesn't speak our language as a native language. Maybe, just maybe, he made a mistake. But what a time to make a mistake like that.
No kidding. Well, let's let the audience be the judge. Here's a soundbite.
We care about the small people. I hear comments sometimes that large oil companies are greedy companies or don't care. But that is not the case in BP. We care about the small people.
Now we're going to hear this.
Now it's small town as opposed to small people.
He could have said small people because he'd just heard that song, or he'd been talking about small businesses for so long.
I guess.
Going back to what you had talked about earlier and the government's responsibility, Richard Branson, the guy who runs Virgin America, Virgin Atlantic, he said yesterday in Vegas, he accused Obama of unseemly behavior in repeatedly kicking a company while it's on its knees. He said BP deserves to be criticized, but so do the regulators in the American government for not the regulation and not regulating the situation.
That was the point I was making. There's no question BP deserves to be criticized, just like the financial institutions deserve to be criticized. But we look at the financial thing. We don't look at Fannie. We don't look at Freddie. We don't look at what Barney Frank did, what Chris Dodd did, and giving him a pass. This happens. Right. We look at BP. We don't look at what the government didn't do, how the government has been totally absent, really.
But what does he do? He blames George Bush. He says over the last decade in the speech, when in fact the head of MMS at the time of the explosion was his person.
He also blamed us, the American people, because we like oil. And they had the only reason they were drilling, according to the president, out there in deep water is because of our addiction to oil.
And that is totally
untrue. The reason they're drilling out there is because environmentalists have prevented us from drilling closer and in other places like Anwar.
Right, which is a very interesting point.
I mean, that's the honest point rather than the let's take advantage of any crisis kind of point, which is the thinking that goes on in this White House, which prevents them from looking at a crisis as a real thing they have to respond to.
But I found the most fascinating thing about that exact point was that people on the left now criticizing the president's speech more than people on the right for that exact reason, that they also, Dianne Feinstein, Democratic senator from California, said, plug the hole. Don't bring up climate change. Plug the hole first. Do you think that the Obama administration was stunned at the reaction from the left after the speech?
I think they're absolutely stunned by it. One of the problems that President Obama has had is he's never been really held to account the way other presidents have. If he had been held to account for the Christmas bombing and his dilatory conduct with regard to that, his remaining on vacation, all the mistakes they made, the system worked, all that stuff, giving him Miranda warnings, 11 days of remaining on vacation, he might have awakened in time to realize the president's got to jump on top of this You don't have 40 or 50 days to do this. People aren't going to listen to you anymore. And to say he's doing everything he can is a joke.
Right.
He's not doing everything he can. Where are all the other experts? Where's the second opinion, the third opinion? My goodness, an American whose parent is sick or child is sick knows to get a second opinion.
Exactly.
Immediately.
Mr. Mayor, first off, we saw what happened with health care. America wanted health care addressed, but at that time and this plan, no and no. All the polls still say it. Jammed it through anyway. Could he be set and poised to jam climate change through now?
I don't see how it happens. I think that was trying to ameliorate that base that you're talking about. That's they know that base is angry at him.
Right.
They are legitimately very worried about the damage that's going to happen to the environment, the damage that's going to happen all along the coast.
Right.
They're very angry at him for not doing enough. And I think he was trying to play to them and kind of work on another emotion they have, which is to do this cap
From the
tax.
Oval Office? Can he do that in
the biggest
a
speech of his
Democratic
life.
memo?
But this is a political reaction from day one.
Yeah.
You know, first BP is in charge, then BP isn't in charge, then BP is doing a good job, then BP is doing a bad job. Punch them around.
Mr. Mayor, a moment ago you said Christmas bombing. I think you meant the Times Square guy with the Pathfinder, right?
No, I meant Christmas morning.
The underwear bomber.
The Christmas almost bomber.
Gotcha.
Right.
All right.
Because they caught him on Christmas morning. President's on vacation. President remains on vacation for 11 days. Doesn't respond for 3 days. This is a dilatory response that I think if it had been President Bush, the media would have come down on him like cats and dogs. And I think you would have learned something from that. You learn from getting criticized. He gets a pass. He doesn't get criticized. And now we've got this.
Well, not anymore.
Well, no, I don't think so.
Let me ask you something.
He's hurting his side now.
You had legitimate crisis experience. A lot of the stuff you did by instinct is because you had all these years of experience. Having said that, if you go into an area without experience, but yet you're competent, like Senator Barack Obama, who became President Barack Obama, why don't you just get somebody in charge, like yourself, a Colin Powell, put somebody in charge that has done this before, and back away? Wouldn't that make more sense?
You're absolutely right. I mean, the lack of executive experience is a critical thing. I mean, it doesn't make sense for us to elect a president who hasn't had executive experience. That's why I didn't think it made sense to elect somebody who had none at all, like Barack Obama. I made that point many times on this show. But sometimes a person without executive experience has the instinct for it, and they'll do exactly what you say. He doesn't appear to have the instinct for it. That goes back to the debate when he was asked what would he do if America was attacked, and he said he would first check our emergency plans, then he would do this. My reaction, not being a bit of a wise guy, but my reaction at the time was, by the time Barack Obama did all those things, we'd be attacked 3 more times. He didn't appear to me, as somebody who's watched people like this for years and trained people, he didn't appear to me to have the basic instincts. Now, you can grow them, but they're not there. The basic instincts aren't there. So somebody else has got to supply them.
Maybe we'll see a shakeup in the people that are close to him as a result of
I mean, this has been a terrible reaction. You can't be honest and not say that.
All right, Rudy, great to see you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Take care.